Yes, people, we are back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is and whatever part of the world that you're watching this in. Welcome back to the Old Southern Pine. Today is an absolute scorcher, and we thought what better time to do a Q&A than on a time when it's just too hot to be out. We sure are glad that you guys could join us. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and welcome back if you've been here for a while. I've been getting a lot of questions lately and requests for a Q&A, so I thought it was time for us to sit a spell under the Old Southern Pine and go through some of the most frequently asked questions. If you're from Georgia, how did you end up in Minnesota? I relocated here for a job opportunity. Is your wife from Minnesota? No, lovely bride grew up in Ohio. We married and headed south as quickly as we possibly could. That's been over 22 years now.
Can I pet it?
She'll let you go right ahead.
Oh. Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay, baby. You okay with me? Yeah? Yeah, you okay?
Oh my goodness, adorable.
The single most common question that we got was, if I live in Minnesota, why is my channel name Old Southern Pine? Well, first off, I'm from Georgia, not Minnesota, hence the Southern. But the Old Southern Pine pays tribute to the love and respect for the Southern traditions that I grew up with, the family that raised me and taught me right from wrong, as well as the Southern traditions that outnumber the pines themselves. Pine is important to me beyond its therapeutic measures and stress-relieving properties. Ultimately, the symbol of a tree that stays green year-round resonates with me. Natural landmarks like a tree were often used as a meeting place to share important information and stories. Here's kind of a joint one. This was probably the most frequently asked question. What is your name? Also, what is your wife's name? Old Southern Pine. Pine, or OSP, will do just fine for me. Lovely bride, we'll keep that as is too. I know some people will figure it out anyways along the way, but I prefer not to use our names as much as possible. I know some other channels use their names and that's fine, but I also have heard many of them regret it. This allows me to give some protection to my family. I will ask that you please respect that, and I hope that you understand. Do you do YouTube full-time? If not, what do you do for a living? I do not do YouTube full-time. This is just a hobby for me. I work for a manufacturing company in the U.S. Does Lovely Bride like to camp, and has she ever camped with you? Yes, Lovely Bride has gone on many adventures with me over the years. She just prefers to not be on the channel. She camped a lot growing up, and we've camped, hiked, canoed together, done a lot of adventures in the outdoors. You want to pick out a toy? What breed is Fiona? Fiona is what is known as a Wishon. She's 50% West Highland White Terrier and 50% Bichon Frise. She is also 100% Teacup Yeti. Baby. You can have whatever baby you pick out. No, you got better things to do. Did you adopt Fiona or did you get her from a breeder? We adopted Fiona from our local pet shelter. If Fiona was adopted, how do you know what breed she is? We, as well as the shelter, gave our best guess. Maltese, Westie, Karen, and Jack Russell were among the top we suspected. We ended up doing one of those doggy DNA tests after bringing her home, and the results came back Wishon. When is Fiona's birthday? Since Fiona was adopted, we don't exactly know what her birthday is. We celebrated on February 17th. As of this video, she's currently 7 years old. The shelter gave their best estimate of February 1st. Her first vet estimated her to be a few weeks younger than that. A lot of people choose the adoption date as their birth date, which is great, but we wanted an actual birth date, or as close to it as we could. Since we adopted her on May 17th, we believe she was born in February. We picked February 17th as her birthday. How did you choose Fiona's name? In the Gallic language, Fiona is roughly translated to the white lady, and in the French language, Fille, or Fille, shortened, is girl. And since she's half West Highland Terrier and half Bichon Frise, Scottish and French, we thought fit perfectly. You want to pick a chewy out? How about this one? You want that? Yeah, okay. Get it, let's go. Get your chewy, let's go. Come on. Get it, baby. Let's go. What do you think about that?
Get it. Let's go.
How did you get started on YouTube? I grew up in the outdoors and I was already camping all the time anyways, and I got inspired to film the adventures to share with family from watching other outdoor channels. I especially wanted to document the time with Fiona because I know it'll never be enough time together. As I started making the videos, other people started finding them and watching them and were so supportive and encouraging, I decided to start making the videos more regularly to share with others as they seemed to enjoy them. And with that, I'd like to take a minute to really thank those special individuals who believed in me from the very beginning and started watching from the beginning, have been with us for over 3 years now. It means more than I can say. A surprising number of y'all asked if there was a way to sign up for memberships, Patreon, anything along those, or how they can support the channel. The best way to support the channel is to watch and click like, hype, subscribe, and comment. Share it with your friends that might be interested in it as well. I do have a super thanks button on my channel and a merch shop for those that are interested. I truly appreciate everyone's generosity. So far, I don't have a plan to do memberships or Patreon. I'm just focusing on trying to put out a video every week and want my content to be available for free for everyone.
Next question, does lovely bride like to camp? And if so, why does she never camp with you? Yes, lovely bride loves to camp. She has gone on many adventures with me over the years. She, however, does not wish to be on the channel. Knocking stuff over. You want some water, baby?
When is your upload schedule? I try to put new videos out every Sunday at noon Central Time.
Easy, sweetheart. Yeah. It is incredibly hot out today, so we're definitely going to have to make sure that we both stay hydrated. You want some more? Oh, you good? Okay. You want some water? Okay. We're going to go get our steps in a hiking trail, but that place was positively heaving, and I don't want to be around people that bad. So we're going to go see if we can't find a rusty cast iron pan at an antique store. Hey, is it okay if I bring her in as long as I just carry her?
No, fine. That's fine.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Too hot outside.
That's right, and in case you missed that, here it is again in slow motion. What is your favorite way to camp? By far, hammock camping is my favorite way. I always sleep well in a hammock. I find it to be the most comfortable. If Lovely Bride would have allowed it, I'd have gotten rid of our bed in the house a long time ago and just strung up a hammock. Longtime viewers of the channel know how much I enjoy sleeping in a hammock and sleeping outside. I actually don't sleep well indoors at all, and never really have, even as a kid. I've always slept better outside. Actually, one of my first videos on the channel was a hammock camp out on a frozen lake. Whether it's a hot summer trip or winter camping in a hot tent, a hammock is my preferred way to camp. This one was a really hard one. You often read and watch movies while camping. What are your top 3 favorite books and movies? We'll start with movies probably because that's easier. My favorite movie of all time is Jeremiah Johnson. My second favorite movie is probably All Is Lost, which is a movie about sailing and survival at sea. My third favorite movie is probably a coin toss between 2 John Wayne movies, North to Alaska or True Grit. The movie The Mountain Men is easily within my top 5. As far as books go, this might be cheating a little bit, but my first favorite book is actually going to be a series, and it's the Tarzan series written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. My second favorite book is Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And my third favorite book is The Old Man and the Boy by Robert Rourke. That was a really great question. How do you heat and cool the Scamp? The Scamp actually doesn't have a furnace or any kind of a heater to it. We did recently have a heat strip installed in the AC unit that we'll be able to test out this winter. When I have shore power, there is a mini electric heater. I didn't really find that did a whole lot other than maybe just take the edge off. But in any camping situation, my mindset is always the same. Don't rely on a heat source to keep you warm. Rely on your sleep system. For cooling, some of you guys know that we have recently installed a Dometic RV AC into the Scamp. We actually had the Scamp factory do it because my 2003 Scamp wasn't designed to be able to hold the weight of an AC unit. So Scamp had to go back in and reinforce with added board and fiberglass to the ceiling to make it work. And then we can power that AC off-grid either by a generator or by a big power station like my Blue Eddy Elite 300. How do you handle ticks for you and Fiona? Fiona gets a flea and tick medication called NexGard once a month. I also do regular tick checks on both of us while we're out camping. It's important to remove ticks quickly. I also use permethrin on my clothing, but it's very important that you don't use that on or around animals. It's especially toxic to cats. Why don't you ever give out your locations when you're camping? Well, there's 2 reasons behind that. Finding your own locations is part of the adventure. I typically don't ask others where they're camping at because I want to be able to find them on my own for the most part. The other part is far too often when I have shared location, that location ends up getting ruined because somebody has shared it with someone else and so forth and onward to the point where that spot has ended up getting ruined or trashed. So I prefer to keep my spots to myself. But the biggest reason is to preserve the location. I'm sure none of my regular viewers would do this, but recently one of my favorite state forest spots was completely destroyed. Did you grow up camping, or did you just get started once you created the YouTube channel? I was partially raised in the outdoors. I've been camping my entire life. One of my youngest and favorite memories is my mommy taking me camping in the bed of a truck out on the edge of their property. I've spent a good portion of my life in the outdoors, learning wilderness and survival skills. The outdoors, and in the woods specifically, is where I feel most at peace. Would you ever camp or do an episode outside of the Midwest? Somewhere like Alaska, the coast, desert, etc. Absolutely. It's a little harder for me to do since I don't do YouTube full time, but I already have plans coming up this fall and winter. I hope you follow along for all of the adventures. Do you eat at home like you do camping? No, absolutely not. Going out and having fun food while you're camping is all part of being outdoors and camping. It's not what you eat in your everyday life. While I make jokes about health food channel all the time, I actually eat pretty healthy at home. Do you cook at home, or is it Lovely Bride? Without question, our kitchen at home is Lovely Bride's jurisdiction. I'm actually not allowed in our kitchen at home. Whenever we were first married, I tried to make dinner for us and failed to remove the frozen pizza from the cardboard and cooked it like that. I'm sure that is unrelated to the fact that I have not been allowed in her kitchen ever since. What is your least favorite food? My least favorite food is going to be bread, potatoes, or anything that I would qualify as bait, like sardines. This question has come up a surprising number of times, and to be frank, it makes me wonder if some of y'all's cornbread ain't cooked all the way through. The question is something along the lines of, we never see you feed Fiona. I put food and water down for her in every single episode. She always has access to food and water. So, no idea what that was about or how that came up so many times, but figured it was worth going ahead and addressing. What is your favorite meal? So hands down, my favorite meal of all time is actually squirrel meat and scrambled eggs. But that's not something I have very often. So my second choice is going to be venison steak and onions. We never see you drink alcohol on the channel. I don't suppose I have any issues if somebody wants to enjoy an adult beverage while out camping, but for me personally, that's just not the place. I don't think that drinking on the channel furthers anything, and I'm not going out into the woods to drink. I want to be out there to be able to enjoy nature and the peace of being out there. Not to mention the fact that I want this channel to be something that is entirely safe for your kids or your grandkids to be able to watch without there being any kind of fear of there being anything that they shouldn't be seeing, or a lesson that they shouldn't be learning. We never hear you swear or use profanity. No, I don't use profanity. I don't use it in my day-to-day life, and I certainly don't use it on the channel. I have a very distinctive memory of sitting with my grandfather when I was quite young, and he was a man of extremely few words, and so when he spoke, he was one of those individuals that you really wanted to quit what you were doing and listen to him. And out of the blue, he looked at me and he said, "Do you know why people swear?" I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, because they're not smart enough to think of something better to say. And all these years later, that has always stuck in my mind.
Well, that was a little bit of a bust. Oh, come here, baby. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the rusty cast iron pan that we were looking for. But that's the point of treasure hunting. Let me know in the comments below if you guys would even be interested in seeing me do a cast iron pan restoration. Can't see to get you buckled in here, baby girl. A question that came up way more often than I was expecting, and I wasn't expecting it at all, was, will you marry me? No. By far, one of the most frequent and weirdest questions that I get is, does the Scamp have a bathroom, or where do you go to the bathroom? Now, oddly enough, this question only started when we got the Scamp. Back when I was doing hammock videos, ain't nobody asking me where I went to the bathroom. No, the Scamp does not have a bathroom. Who would want to spend that kind of quality time in that small of a space with a bathroom? So no, it doesn't have a bathroom. I specifically bought the model that did not have the bathroom to it. As to where do I go to the bathroom? Third bush to the left, dig a hole, make good life choices about what leaf you use. Well, dang, that place was absolutely rammed with people, so we are going to skip that one. But worry not, you lovely lot, we've got one more trick up our sleeve. Lovely bride just bought Fiona a little kiddie pool, so we're gonna go home and get in that. Help her to cool down on this super hot day. Instructions.
In older YouTube videos, you wear a wedding ring. Why don't you wear one now? I ultimately replaced my wedding ring with a tattoo. It's much safer than wearing a ring with the lifestyle that I live. How often I'm camping, woodworking, hunting, fishing, sailing, where a ring could easily get snagged or crushed. Yes, I tried those silicone rings for a while, but a tattoo has no risk of falling off or breaking. What is your singing experience? Absolutely none outside of showers and long road trips. Is there any kind of activity that Fiona, myself, and Lovely Bride enjoy doing together? So just because Lovely Bride isn't on the channel doesn't mean that we don't actually go on adventures away from the channel together. We actually love to travel, the three of us, quite often, that we will go and take little mini vacations or, single day road trips, that kind of thing, to be able to go off and do something fun together. And we absolutely love traveling together, that kind of thing. Aren't you ever scared camping alone? The short answer to that, and some of you may think that it is arrogance, but no, I am never scared out there alone. I have spent more time in the woods in my life than I have not. So the woods are really home to me. The second part of that answer is, realistically, there's nothing out there that is bigger or better than me in those woods. And again, I know that may sound arrogant, but I don't mean it to be. What made you decide to get a Scamp camper? And what other modifications will you be doing to the Scamp, in addition to the air conditioning? That's a fantastic question. Lovely Bride and I are actually working on doing a full renovation video, so all of the little bits that we've done along the way, we've been recording pieces of it so that I can actually put together a video and show you guys pretty much the entire transformative process of what we've done. What made me choose a Scamp? I had it down to knowing that I wanted some kind of a fiberglass shell camper. So something like a Scamp, a Bowler, a Casita, or one of the other very similar style of campers. Ultimately, the fact that we live in Minnesota, I liked the fact that they were Minnesota made. While I will never consider myself to be a Minnesotan, that is where we live and it's where we've spent the last few years living here. So it really boiled down to what was going to be in the right condition within the price point. We had a very tight budget that we were willing to be able to spend on it. And that's just what God led us to.
Come on, hop in. Come on.
What is Fiona's favorite treat that she can't live without? Man, this little girl is so unmotivated by food, it really doesn't matter what it is. Like, you could offer her a piece of venison fat, which she loves, by the way. My pap and I got a whitetail a couple years ago, and Dad gave her a scrap of it, and you would have thought that she'd never eaten in her entire life. She was so enamored with that piece of deer fat. But you could offer that to her, and if she's got anything else that she might possibly want to do, food just absolutely comes last to her. She's just completely uninterested. I mean, a lot of times you guys will see whenever I put her food down for her in the videos that she will, like, try to bury it. Presumably nobody else can find it until she's ready for it. But yeah, if she's got something else on her mind, the little girl's just got better things to do. She just wouldn't be interested. How many tents do you have? Do you keep all of the tents that you use, or just your favorite ones, and how do you keep them stored? How many I have really depends on who you ask. Lovely Bride would probably answer that as too many. I usually don't get a tent unless I am pretty confident that I want it and that I want to be able to use it in the future. There have been a couple of tents that I've either sold off or donated. For the most part, if I'm really not going to sign up to get a tent unless I'm pretty confident that I'm going to want that and want to be able to use it for a specific purpose in the future. We have some shelving units down in our basement that we keep them organized and stacked in based off of what they are, what usage they're right for. What tent do you recommend for extremely hot weather and or buggy conditions? I haven't found a specific brand of ground tent that I really think is fantastic. And they all have their pros and cons to them. They all have different situations that I think that they are really good for. In hot weather, you're looking for something that's got a large mesh section to it, so that you can get as much airflow in there as possible. A rain fly that gives enough space between the inner lining or the inner tent for you to be able to maximize that airflow. Really the same thing for bugs as well. That extreme, that large area of mesh, that's going to be able to give you the most breathability, but also be able to keep the bugs out.
No, stay in here.
Now that you have the Scamp, will you ever go back to camping in the backseat of your truck or a tent? Absolutely. This channel was founded on those kinds of slightly more primitive or alternative forms of camping. I'm definitely not going to get away from those. The Scamp is fantastic. We've been doing the cabins and the Scamp when it is this hot for Fiona's protection. She just doesn't do well in the heat. Anything above 75 degrees, she just really doesn't do well in. And really, I'm out there to create memories and have fun with her. So if she's not doing well, or if she's not feeling good, if she's not having fun, the camp's over. So yes, we'll definitely go back to camping in tents. Hammock camping is still one of my favorite ways to camp of all time. Camping in the backseat of the truck, I absolutely love it. We actually have a stealth camp that we want to do in the backseat of the truck, but it's just been too hot.
Well, we finally got a break in the weather, so we're going to go for a hike.
How do you keep Fiona clean? I just go with it. I try to brush the mud and the burrs out of her. I wipe her down with a pet and child safe poison oak oil remover while we're out in the field. And then the very first thing that happens whenever we get back home is that Lovely Bride takes her and gives her a bath. And then I am sent to go get a bath as well before we're really allowed back in her house. Will I ever do a camping trip on a boat? But yeah, I absolutely love sailing, and I would love to do a camping trip on a boat again. I've never filmed it, but I think it'd be something that would be fun to do on the channel. How often do you have a camera person accompany you? I've actually never had a camera person accompany me. I do all of my own stunts. Lovely Bride does a lot of the back end work for the channel of actually getting the videos uploaded, all of the descriptions and the links and stuff like that. Basically all of the hard work. I just go out and film myself camping and then edit it. So it's really, but no, I've never had a camera person come with me. How did I become a sailor? And what part of the world have I sailed in? So I got taken sailing once, just in a small dinghy, when I was probably 5 years old and absolutely loved it. Flash forward a handful of years, an opportunity came up on Lake Lanier in Georgia. There were some sailing classes that were available, and so Lovely Bride and my mama got together and kind of pooled their resources to be able to pay for me to go get sailing classes, and that was where I ended up going through those courses there, getting sailboat certified, and then from there just continued to progress up through the inland land speed rankings over the next few years. What parts of the world have I sailed in? Minnesota, Georgia, and New York. I've never actually had the helm of a sailboat on the ocean. It is, however, a life goal of mine to do a solo transatlantic on a sailboat. Who does Fiona prefer? Mom, Dad, or Grandma, Grandpa? So Fiona is whoever's girl is doing whatever she wants to do in that moment. Fiona is half West Highland Terrier, half Bichon Frise, and if you know anything about those two breeds, Bichon Frise literally translates from French to frizzy lapdog. That's what they're good at, is just keeping your lap warm. They don't have a whole lot of motivation. Whereas West Highland Terriers are just like, they have two modes: go fast and Beanie Baby mode, fall asleep. And so those two conflicting personalities in those two breeds really show in Fiona. She's got about a 3-day adventure streak, and then after that, she's just done. She wants nothing to do with me. She wants nothing to do with the outdoors. I bring her home, I hand her to Lovely Bride, and Fiona literally will not let Lovely Bride set her down for the next few days. That said, you guys will hear me refer to somebody as Pappy or Dad. This gentleman adopted me probably 25 years ago. Fiona she's definitely a Grandpa's girl. Grandpa was the one that helped kind of break through some of the trauma issues that we had with her when we got her from, obviously she was adopted, so some of that emotional baggage that she came with, my dad really helped break through that, so she's definitely a Grandpa's girl too.
Maybe. Sweet. Good girl. All right, step up. Watch your foot. There you go.
What did you do before the channel? Camped without a camera. That's really the only difference, is that I was doing all of this for the last 35 years. I just wasn't doing it with a camera. Have you ever been to Scotland? No, unfortunately, I haven't. I would absolutely love to. I've actually never been outside of North America, and unless you include some of the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, that kind of thing. Are there ever any plans to do any kind of a meet and greet? Honestly, I can't even imagine why anybody would want to meet me, but I'm sure that was mostly directed at meeting Fiona, but it's not off the table, though I will say that, like most solo YouTube camping channels, we're a pretty reclusive lot. Definitely not saying no, but at the same time, I'm not sure. I get this question quite a bit too, and I'm not entirely sure that I'm qualified to answer this, but do I recommend women camping alone in some of the places that I go to? Having never been a woman, I don't think that I'm qualified to answer that. I would say that if you are male or female, that as long as you are prepared mentally, physically, and situationally, that I would say yes, by all means, go for it. Just be smart about it. Have backup plans and backup plans to those backup plans. Knowing that things could go wrong, have a backup plan, be safe, make sure that somebody knows where you are at all times, that kind of thing. How do you select the gear that you buy? That is a great question. Before we buy anything, Lovely Bride and I both do a tremendous amount of research to make sure that it is going to be something that is quality. I am not a fan of buying junk. I would rather cry once over the price and then have that piece of gear for years than I would to have to buy something new to replace it every single time because it's just junk. We never see you eating dessert on your trips or anything sweet. Do you dislike that? No, I actually don't particularly like sweet things. I'm not a big dessert individual. Do I ever have issues bringing Fiona into places with me? I try to be pretty specific about where I bring her into. If I take her into like a Walmart or something like that, or any other kind of store, a lot of times I'll usually ask like a store manager, hey, is it a problem if I bring her in, as long as I don't set her down, that kind of thing. And most places have been pretty good about it. occasionally you'll find somewhere that says, no, I'm sorry, you can't bring her in here. And in which case we just were respectful of that decision and we leave. What has surprised you the most about your time on YouTube so far? The biggest surprise is that anybody would ever want to watch one of my videos. I don't say that with any kind of self-deprecation or false humility. When I started this channel, I never expected there to be people that would actually want to watch it. And certainly never did I think that we would be right on the cusp of 85,000 subscribers. I'm still honestly having trouble wrapping my head around any of that. The other two things, this is kind of two sides of the same coin. Most of you guys have just been absolutely so wonderful, incredibly loving and supportive. But yeah, it's always surprising when someone comes completely out of the blue and is horrendous. Were you ever in the military? No, I was not. A lot of times the yes ma'am, no ma'am that you guys hear that I think is mistaken for that is just Southern upbringing. That's just Southern manners. I do have quite a few family members that have served and are serving, and I'm extremely proud of them for that. But no, I was never in the military. Were you ever a Boy Scout? And more specifically, were you an Eagle Scout? No, I was never an Eagle Scout. I did spend some time in the Boy Scouts in my youth. I think that the Scouts are overall a good organization for young people to be in. However, I did not have very good experiences in the troops that I was a part of, and I certainly never felt like I learned anything good from them. Most of my wilderness skills have either been self-taught or learned through survival books. You sound like you're from the South. Now, there's a good reason for that. I am. I'm from Georgia. I was born in Augusta, Georgia, on the east side of the state. I was raised in Rockmart, Georgia, on the west side of the state, near about an hour from the Alabama line. But my hometown is Covington, Georgia, which is about 40 minutes due east of Atlanta. Can you use the right knife for the job? I don't even know what this was about, but I'm going to tell you that any knife in the proper hand is the proper knife for the job. So there. Do you ever plan to camp anywhere outside of the Midwest? I have camped outside of the Midwest. I've created several different videos, but because, like I said, I don't do this full time, it's not exactly easy for me to just pack up and head to Alaska to drive the Dawson Trail. What's the most harrowing wild animal camping experience that you've ever had? Really, for the most part, like I've camped in bear country quite a bit. I've seen and encountered bears. A lot of people are afraid of bears, and they're really, for the most part, don't get me wrong, there's always extenuating circumstances. But for the most part, bears want less to do with you than we do with them. Be smart, don't use your food bag as a pillow. If you see a bear cub, don't run up there and try to pick it up and cuddle it. But don't, just be smart, be respectful. This is their home. You're a visitor there. But, more often than not, by the time that you see a bear, that bear already knows that you're there and is hightailing in the opposite direction away from you as fast as it possibly can. Probably the most harrowing experience was that during the coyote mating season, Fiona and I were hammock camping, and two different packs came into camp right as the sun was going down. I've never seen coyotes that brazen before. You hear coyotes all the time, and you know that they're around. Sometimes they'll get close enough that you can hear them trotting past, but they were actually coming in close enough that we could see them, and we were in a thick pine grove, and there were two different packs that were flanking us coming in on both sides. So in addition to that, Fiona had rolled in burrs that she had actually matted into her eye itself, and I wasn't prepared to be able to deal with that out there in the woods when they were that packed into her eye. So I had to scoot her up and then get her back to the truck and then come back in to get camp cleaned up and then take her home. That was probably the most harrowing and nerve-wracking situation. Again, I was not worried about coyotes coming after me. There's not a coyote in its right mind that's going to come after a creature my size. But, Fiona only weighs 10 pounds, so she's not even a snack for one of them. You worried about something grabbing Fiona when you guys are out in the woods together? Yes. Short answer to that is yes. I have We have been out on the kayak before, with Fiona riding up on the bow of the kayak, and I have watched bald eagles sit there and look back and forth between her and me, and you can watch it calculating to see if it could swoop down and grab her before I could do anything about it. I keep Fiona very close to me. While yes, she does have her freedom, she's always within visual range of where I'm at. Yes, I might have to turn around and look for her, but she's always within visual range. That in and of itself is going to make sure that most animals don't come anywhere near her. With very few exceptions, wild animals want even less to do with you than you do with them. When is Lovely Bride's cookbook coming out? That question got asked quite a few times here recently. I absolutely love that, and I am encouraging her to make a cookbook. I have already titled it for her, the Old Southern Pine Cookbook, written by Lovely Bride. Meals so simple even a man can do them. How and where did you and Lovely Bride meet? Lovely Bride and I met move-in day of college together. We were inseparable best friends ever since. Several of you expressed concern whenever we are backseat truck camping, that we've got the window blinds up and that basically we're sitting duck to approaching danger. I would say that anyone that wanted to cause trouble was probably in more danger than we were. Again, I don't mean that to sound arrogant. That's just, yeah. I had a couple of requests to do another video with Mama. That is in the works. I hope very soon to have Mama back on the channel. Several of you asked, how do I help keep Fiona calm from when she's afraid while we're out camping? Several of you cited that maybe you have dogs that are afraid of storms or don't particularly like to ride in the car, that kind of thing. Fiona is afraid of nothing except for not being able to get to me and owls. She is absolutely terrified of owls. Obviously, where we camp, there's owls all the time, and really for that, she'll just curl up in my arms, or I'll like tuck her like into the sleeping bag or something like that, where I'm right there, but she's covered and protected so that she feels safe. Typically, if she's like curled up right against me or something like that, then she knows that nothing's going to get her that wouldn't have to come through me. And when it comes to my dog, don't let it come to my dog. It won't end well for you. As far as not being able to get to me, she, despite how adventurous she is, she has enormous separation anxiety. So if she can't get to me and she wants to, it's a major problem. She has basically a massive anxiety attack, which I know a lot of you guys have gotten after me for letting her in my lap while we're driving, and that's a distraction. I can assure you that if she cannot get to me, it is far more of a distraction.
We're a few miles in right now and coming up on a really nice little lake. I think we're going to take a break up here and rest our legs for a few minutes, which gives you guys just enough time to like, subscribe, and hype this video.
Do we have any other dogs or cats? No. Fiona is an only child. I think she is. She is enough spunk for all of us. What was the biggest culture shock moving from Georgia to Minnesota, and I can't say cold weather? By far the biggest culture shock for me moving here, even if you hadn't restricted me to not saying the weather, would have been the difference in manners. Do you ever plan on making a video camping back in Georgia? Check back with me in November. Foreshadowing. What do I think caused that I sleep better outside than I do inside? That is a very good question, one to which I do not have an answer for. I have always felt safe in the woods. I even noticed that I breathe better outdoors than I do inside, and I don't know why that is. It might be psychological, it might be real, I have no idea, but yeah, it's been a lifelong thing of sleeping better outside than I do in. Will Lovely Bride ever share her biscuit recipe? That is a family secret. I don't even know what's in it. To be fair, I'm not even allowed in the kitchen, so I may not be the best one to ask that, but I think she has probably sworn to secrecy on that. Ooh, a great question. Are southern or northern woods better for sleeping in? That is a big question. Wilderness survival this far north is substantially easier than wilderness survival is down south. In Minnesota, we don't have snakes, we don't have venomous spiders. I mean, dang, they don't even have termites up here. So, yeah, I'm going to say northern woods are substantially easier to sleep in than southern woods because you don't have snakes and spiders and gators that are trying to cuddle up in the sleeping bag with you. What is your favorite inclement weather to sleep in? Cold weather, for sure. Either like a heavy, cool rain or, when it's really snowing and blowing, those are the most fun for me. Who had the biggest effect on me wanting to spend time in the outdoors? As I shared a little bit earlier, one of my first and favorite memories is from my mommy taking me out to truck camp under the stars in their property in Georgia. My grandfather was a huge outdoorsman hunter, so pretty much they partially raised me down in Rockmart, Georgia, and yeah, I kind of grew up camping and fishing and hunting and doing all of the things in the outdoors, and sleeping outside under the stars was how I grew up. And so, yeah, my grandparents, I would say, are probably the two biggest influencers in my life for getting me started in the outdoors as young as I was. How do you decide where to camp? And how much say does Fiona have in where you camp? Fiona has a tremendous amount to say in where we camp. The deciding factor of every camp that we go on is Fiona going to be able to have a good time? Is she going to be safe? Is it a good place for her to be camping at? So she has a tremendous amount of say in that. How I find the locations, I use Google Earth to search out state forest land, and then just a lot of road time. We'll plan a whole trip. I'll find something on Google Earth that looks like it's going to be a good site, and we'll make a trip there, and then we'll kind of just do scouting trips while we are out through that area to find other locations to camp at. What is your biggest pet peeve about being around other campers? This is going to sound tremendously antisocial, and possibly because it is. Other campers. I work really hard to try to make sure that we are as far away from other people as possible. I don't want to be around other campers. I'm not going off into the woods to try to be around other people. Have I ever been injured while out camping so bad that I needed medical attention? Always wondered how you would deal with that. I've never been so injured that I couldn't take care of it myself, at least well enough to be able to get home, to get back into civilization, to get stitched back up. I did a video with my mama, who was an ER nurse in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, many, many years. She also worked with the United States Army. So I grew up naturally gaining a lot of medical knowledge just from being around her. The mindset of you just get through it. You pick up whatever appendage you just cut off, deal with the pain, and get yourself out. There were no kissing boo-boos to make them stop hurting growing up in my household. Mama was a shut up, suck it up, get through it mindset, and that has stuck with me my entire life. So, well, thankfully I've never had to pick up an appendage and get myself out of the woods. I know enough about myself and my upbringing to have a fair guess that that's exactly what I would do, is to bandage myself up, pack it in ice, pack it in saline, make saline out of salt and water, and then just get myself out of there. Have I ever felt unsafe camping alone? Yes. There have been times where other people have come into my camp with a mildly threatening attitude where I knew that I wasn't necessarily safe, but you hold your ground, you're prepared to deal with whatever you have to deal with. Have I ever been recognized out in public? I've actually been recognized twice out on the road by subscribers, and it was an honor to meet both of you. Do I carry some form of protection out in the woods? Does my winning personality qualify? I actually have to be careful about how I answer this one because YouTube really doesn't like talking about that kind of thing. Putting it as plainly as I can, I am a southern man and about as hillbilly as they come. I am almost always with protection of some kind. Fiona's my protection. Have I ever seen Bigfoot? Nobody spends as much time in the woods as I do that you don't hear or see something unusual. The short answer is no. The old boy has never actually made himself completely, without question, known to me. I've definitely seen some odd sights. I've heard some calls out in the woods that I didn't identify, which possibly could have been him, but more than likely was some kind of misidentification. Do I believe that the old boy exists? Absolutely, and I certainly hope to find him someday. If nothing else, just for two solitary old woodland creatures to wave hi at each other as we pass by. Well, the audio went out on me a little bit here, but all we're going to be doing is going out to the Scamp to wrap things up and to answer a few more of y'all's questions while we have a cup of tea. Stay right there, I'll be right back, okay? I love you. All right, and while we're waiting for our tea to brew up, you guys had asked, Fiona seems so well behaved. Is that just her natural disposition, or was that heavy training? So, a little bit of a two-part story here, and I'll give you Fiona's backstory to what we know of her. Fiona was a rescue. She was found at the edge of a farm in southwestern Minnesota, middle of absolute nowhere. She had been on her own for some time, so she was, I'll say, half feral, and came with a tremendous amount of emotional baggage. When we got her, she would hide under chairs, and if you tried to, lean down to get underneath there, she was vicious. She literally did not sleep for the first 2 weeks that we had her. Lovely Bride would carry her around. And, Mom would carry you around, wouldn't she? Nonstop. And you'd see she'd start to nod off a little bit, but as soon as she realized that she was falling asleep, she would jerk herself awake, wrestle herself out of your arms, and then she would just tear through the house. If you tried to get near her, she would bite mean. She would viciously go after you. She was, quite frankly, a little monster. My dad, who you guys hear me call Pappy, and he adopted me when I was 25 years ago, trained dogs for a living. I called Dad and I said, Dad, I need your help. I walked him through what all she was doing, and he said, well, I haven't met a dog that I couldn't fix yet. I said, all right, well, I need you to, because I'm full on at a loss here. So we went to Dad's, and my dad's just a dog whisperer. That's just what that's his gift in life, is that he gets right down there with the dog, finds a way to connect with it emotionally. Even her, who she clearly had been weaned improperly, she had virtually no, what I'll say, kindergarten manners. She'd been out on her own long enough that we think that, based off of her demeanor and her actions, where she wouldn't sleep, and she absolutely hates coyotes. Anything coyote shaped, she's not afraid of them, but she genuinely hates them. Owls, she's absolutely terrified of. And so we think that maybe she had a run-in with both coyotes and an owl, and that she had to hide underneath a log or something, and that's why she would get so mean if you tried to put your head down there with her. I mean, she came back after just a few weekends, and she was a fantastic citizen. So
what you guys see today is not just natural. Like it was a lot of hard training. My dad put a lot of hours in. Lovely bride and I both put a lot of hours in to try to get her to the citizen that she is today. But you guys are right. She is an extremely good girl, and she's been such a blessing to us. But you did come with some emotional baggage, didn't you, baby? To go back to answering the question of whose dog is she absolutely adores her grandpa. My dad will call, I'll answer the phone on speakerphone, and she will come flying from out of whatever room she is in, and will just nose the phone to listen to his voice. So it's pretty darn cute to watch them together. But none of that is to put anybody off from going and getting a rescue from a shelter. I highly recommend it. Yes, you might end up with a problem child, but none of that is something that can't be fixed. You work with them, you show them love, you be patient with them. It takes time. That's all it is. It's time and it's patience and a little bit of knowing what you're doing. You be kind and you love on them, they're going to turn around and they're going to love you right back. They just need time to feel safe. And they're right. You're a good girl now, aren't you? Yeah.
What is the strangest thing that you have ever experienced out in the woods? I was bow hunting one time in the state of Virginia, and a doe came out and was walking right towards me, and a fox ran past me, ran right up to the doe, coiled around her legs like a cat would do, just rubbing up against her legs, which I found to be odd enough as it is, because those two typically don't like each other. The two of them looked into each other's eyes for quite a while, fully having a conversation, at the end of which the doe's head and eyes snapped straight up to meet mine. 100% that fox ran out and told her, "Dear lady, it might interest you to know that there is a bow hunter 30 yards ahead of you that will have you full in his sights if you take 3 steps further." I never moved. I never gave away my position. The wind was perfect, so I know she didn't scent me. That blasted fox straight up told on me. That's the weirdest thing I've ever had happen in the woods. Yeah, I say that. There's quite a few of them. I'm going to say that's the weirdest.
Well, y'all, I think that was pretty much all of the questions, at least most of the generalized ones. For privacy reasons, obviously, there's a couple things that I won't or can't answer to protect my family. I truly hope you guys understand that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Until we meet again under the old Southern Pine, stay safe and God bless.